There's my cue, the horse cue. Hey, everybody. Joe Lewis here. It's been a little while. I am joined by my lovely and talented producer. Say hi, Ann.
Hi, Ann.
Hey.
That was the U.S. Marine Band.
Okay, we got that over with. It was the U.S. Marine Band.
Which is appropriate for Toys for Tots, right?
Yes, exactly. See how we tie it all together? And of course, the song was
Sleigh Ride.
Sleigh Ride. Yeah. Well, hopefully you don't have
I've played before many times, so I know.
Well, actually,
I'm here singing my baritone part.
College might be one thing, but a seventh grade band playing that, it takes a parent love to sit through that. Okay. Anyway, so welcome joining. We're going to be doing our Toys for the Toys for Tots. Let's bring in our esteemed guest, John Matthews of Battlefront. Hey, John.
I think esteemed is very generous, but thank you anyway.
Well, you are our guest, and we appreciate you. So for those who don't know, I'm sure everyone who there does, but for those who don't know, this is, I know for Able Company, it's our 10th year, and we started up to doing a little toy drive. So that we would do a tournament. The entry fee was bring a toy. We would do things to promote to have people bring in toys. I'll give you a good example. I know the Screaming Eagles up in Minnesota. They did a thing this year where you brought an extra toy. You could get a free reroll. Okay.
Nice.
And the free reroll, but to use it, you only do once per game, but you had to yell out, "It's for the children," as you roll the die. Okay. So, yes.
Well, it is. That's the thing.
Anyway, so we got, okay. So, and what's Ann saying there is that, so we Enable Company and a whole bunch of different places across the country holding tournaments and collecting toys. I am in the middle of moving in our house. In fact, we just did our walkthrough today. So next week we sign the paperwork and hope and get the keys. So we're looking forward to that. But the thing is, I got a whole bunch of stuff I'm storing in my car. So when we did the Toys for Tots, we moved everything. We just we threw everything in my car. We took it on over to a drop-off place, and boy, were they happy to see us, weren't they?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
We had at least 50 toys, something like that. It was crazy.
Well, we filled up 3 boxes.
Nice.
But when we were doing the inspection, I wanted to get my drill out. And I was moving things around. I found a couple things that fell back there. I'm like, oh, what? There's 3 toys back here. What the heck?
Yeah, you have to go back.
So anyway, we got to go drop those off. But that's why I'm like, oh, what the hell are you doing back here? Yeah, because back of my car, I got a dolly, a cart. I got a couple cardboard boxes, from U-Haul, and it's just all back there. Oh, and of course, power tools. Anyway, enough about me. It's all about the kids. So the little back history is that a little over 5 years ago, I said, John, boy, I really like to do something bigger for Toys for Tots. And Battlefront says, yeah, let's do it. John, yep. You were all over it.
Absolutely. Still am.
And and you came up with, you're like, well, we do a little prize support. So I was thinking, a box or something like that. But what did you come up with?
I don't think it was exactly me, but we talked about it in the office. And the one, we absolutely want people to go wild with this. Talk to the stores, get people to do it. It doesn't have to be a tournament. It can be any sort of event where you just turn up and, as you say, to get in, you give a toy and you have an afternoon of gaming, an evening, whatever you've decided. And we thought, yeah, we'll bribe the people to come. And so the grand prize is, I think it's got a minimum of height of 5'8", but you literally get your boxes to your height. So the bigger the guy, or gal, the bigger your prizes are. And they're not upright, they are flat.
It's stacked like this.
Yeah.
Not like this.
Yes, and of course we make sure that nobody puts their height on the ticket. Otherwise, I'd be going for the guy who's 5'8". No, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And then there are 5 armies to about 150 points that you put in and you get from the shops. And then we do 20 box prizes as well in there that we won't do tonight, but they have been picked. Well, actually, no, I don't know that because Rob picks those, so I doubt he's actually picked them yet. So they'll be done, and then we'll put over there. But I do the 5 armies and then the grand prize at the end.
Battle of the 5 armies.
Battle of 5 armies.
Bringing in a little Tolkien there. I'm sorry.
So right, so that's what we got. So first of all, how many different stores participated this year?
I think it was 43 this time with about 60 different events. So some have had 2. They'll have a Team Yankee and a Flames of War or whatever, or 2 Flames of War, one of being a Bring Big Battle or a tournament as well. But yeah, 43. So we're very pleased with that number. I think both you and I, Joe, we're always hoping that we get more, but I do think that blimmin' COVID definitely kicked us in the nuts for a couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm glad to see that now we're back and rocking and rolling again. And this is definitely the biggest participation. I think I've got 423 names in there. So there's a lot of people.
Yeah. And that's all over the country and Canada. So can't forget our friends up north.
No, absolutely not. And they actually punch well above their weight. If you think of it, if you look at the amount of participants they do compared to population size, we get more of them. So come on, we need to hold up and get a few more of us Americans in there. And yes, I am an American, even though I've got this silly accent.
Yeah. So we had a lot more stores participating, which was awesome. We have more people. Hopefully, we'll get more people next year. Okay. So the thing is, it's not only are the players involved, but the stores are kind of competing also, right?
Yes. Yeah. There's a store prize as well that we give that actually, I have to be honest, I don't know what that is. Rob Villeneuve deals with all of that on that side, but I know that the winning stores get something as well. So I do apologize, peeps, for not knowing that. That's bad of me.
No, but we know they get something. I think it's on the website. I can't really remember because, it's all about the children.
It is. And again, this is the bit that seems a bit funny is I do this because I like it. But actually, Rob is the one who organizes it all with the stores and the sales guys. So, well, they're in capable hands. So I just leave it to them.
Yeah. And they did a bang up job this year. Yep. So with the 43, because I think last year, kind of coming out of COVID and stuff like that, I think we're in the high 20s or something like that.
I think 28 rings a bell. I couldn't swear to that, but it was below 30, but not by many. Yeah. I think the real thing is to sort of go, if your store that you were shopping in or go in regularly didn't do anything, now's the time to start saying, could I book something? It's not 2 weeks before the event. It's literally, we will do this at around the same time as last time. And we give you a window. You don't have to do it on a weekend. It's sort of 3-4 weekends. And we are going to be flexible here. Not if somebody says, "Oh, I'm doing mine in June." No, we are not capable of organising that amount of time.
What, Christmas in June?
Yeah, exactly. In the sort of November-ish area, when you're seeing the Toys of Tots drop-off centres about, that's when you should be organising it. But start now.
Mm-hmm.
Just book some time with the shop and say, we want to do it on this Saturday, this Sunday, a Monday afternoon. I don't know what you want to do. Just get it done.
Yeah, because we start planning this in September.
Yeah.
To get the flyer out to make sure it's up to date. And then it's pretty much all of November and the first couple weekends of December, depending how things lie, because we need to get it done so that the Marines can get it, so that they can organize it to get it to the kiddos.
Yep.
So that's why the timing's what it is. So, and it's amazing.
I think it worked pretty well this year. It did. All the stores that I know of gave in their results. Because that's the other one, is you've got to make sure, if you want to be in the drawing, you need to pester the person who's responsible to send us the names. Otherwise, well, I'll draw a piece of blank paper out. I won't, because there isn't any of those, but I won't know who you are if your shop hasn't put in the result. And I mean, it's dead easy. You just say, we did this and here are the names.
Mm-hmm. So once again, we like to thank all the game stores out there.
Absolutely.
And I like to thank Battlefront for stepping up. And I'll tell you what, I think.
And thank you to the tournament players.
Well, what tournament players are the big, you get a big battle royale game. I know there's a couple of people who did that. It's just the idea of get together and roll some dice and do something good. So we actually had a couple people who couldn't play but stopped by anyway to donate. So I mean, it's all about the children.
It is, yeah. And it is that one. And again, I think I said it last year, but I'm going to say it again. And a big thank you out to the people who took their time. Even those ones who couldn't play, but they still dropped off. You go, cool. You got the message correctly. It is about, to be there, the children. But actually, it is about doing the right thing in some ways and giving and being a better sort of human being. Not everybody is as fortunate as some of us. So giving back a little bit, I am all about. I think the saying is pay it forward or something, and hopefully karma will treat you right as well. So, yeah, anything you can do, good on you, without waffling on too much.
Yeah, matter of fact, 2 days ago, I had to pay it forward. I was going through McDonald's for a breakfast sandwich, and the person bought my thing, and I bought the one behind me.
Well, that's nice. That is good.
And I don't know if it continued, but I'm like, oh, well, I don't know. Hey, let me get theirs.
Yeah, that's nice.
17 Happy Meals. What the hell? No, just they got a soccer team back there.
Yeah, I always go for the staff lunch, and nobody ever seems to buy our one. And we've got some big boys. 134 cheeseburgers, please.
It's like a college football team or something.
Exactly.
Well, I'd say I think everyone's probably watching is on pins and needles, wondering where they're at. So you ready to start the drawing?
Might as well, without further ado.
So this is for the five armies first, right?
Yes, 5 armies first. So first one.
Oh. There you go.
I'm going to do that. Right. Who have we got here then? So the store is Level Up Games in Georgia, 150-point army. And, oh, God, I'm going to ruin this guy's name. Nathan, I can manage that bit.
What
Ortega.
is it?
Nathan Ortega.
Nathan Ortega. Okay.
Yes. Level Up Games in Georgia. Cool. Right. Second one. This is also for the 150-point army. This is Meeple Manor in Washington.
Okay.
Bo Olson.
Beau.
Beaulson.
You know what? Someone from that store won last year.
Ah, see, keep sending the money, Meeple.
Meeples.
Every fiver helps.
We had the same conversation. A meeple is a little figure that goes on a game board instead of a person. It's called a meeple.
Okay.
I didn't name them. All right, number 3.
Games Plus in Illinois.
Nice.
Mark, oh heaven, they're just trying to murder me this time. Mark,
congratulations, everybody.
Pawelski. I'm really sorry, Mark, if I've ruined your name. I
Is it
do not mean
H-O-L?
to. It is Mark, obviously easy spelling. Pawelski.
Pawelski. He's Polish.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
it
you've done it way better than I. I do apologize. Yeah, yes. Dyslexia rules KO.
Is that 150 point also?
Yep.
Yes. Doing all the first 5 will all be the 150 point armies.
We learned from last year. Ann's writing them all down.
That's a good one. Borderlands, South Carolina.
Okay.
Ted Haskell.
Sorry, Ted.
Haskell. Haskell.
And it's Ted, right? You said?
Yes, Ted.
Okay.
Good old Ted. All right.
Okay, last chance at the 150.
All right, big drum roll here.
All right, who have we got here? Atlantis Comic and Games in Virginia.
Oh.
Jessica Berry.
Jessica
Berry.
Berry.
Cool.
Yeah,
And this is a big one.
All right. You know what? Last year, we had a female win of an army, and then another female one. What are the chances? Because there's not much to play. All right, big one. Here we go.
Grand prize.
Here we go. Right. Gameology in California.
Oh,
hell.
No.
Reacher Yapeli. So Reicher, and then the surname Yapelli.
Yapelli.
So if I again have murdered your name, I do apologize, but thank you so much for turning up. And yep, you have got the grand prize, big man.
All right.
And it doesn't say here that he's 10'3", but if he is, good on it.
Yeah.
Well done to everybody. Thank you. And again, if your name wasn't called out, you've still got a chance of the 20 other prizes as well that we will get off to Joe, and we'll also put up on our website as well. Remember, these are the prizes that you go to the shop, you pick it up and do there, and then we obviously look after the shop afterwards. But you should be trying to get to the shop to pick up your prizes. We'll contact all the stores as well to let them know what prizes will happen there. Again, Rob is an old hand with this. He has no problem doing it. I obviously have to keep these pieces of paper really careful now. One year I actually rolled one of them up and threw it back in the box, and it was like, oh, for heaven's sake. I think you rescued me on that one, Joe.
Well, we also have the video here that you know people will go back and watch.
And then I blow them all over the table.
Do we have any way of determining what the winning store is? How is that done? Or you would say that Rob does that?
Oh well, we accidentally lost him. He'll be back in a second. So,
do you know how they determine the winning store?
The winning store? Yeah, they look at the pictures and go, that looks like the winning store. Yeah. I mean,
okay, in terms of like how many.
Yeah. Because the thing is, every store takes a picture. Well, you're supposed to hopefully take a picture with there he is.
I shouldn't be allowed anywhere near technology. I was moving these and managed to hit something on the keyboard, which locked me out.
Yeah. That's okay, John.
We love you anyway, John.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, somebody's got to.
I was like, you got the important part over. Did I win?
I'm off now.
Well, basically, people want to give you a hug or basically tell you where to go. Go to. damn it, he didn't draw my name. What the hell? You
Yeah,
know?
so yeah, terrible.
Well, I think this year is the first year I don't know any of those people. I don't think I've met any of them. So
Okay.
that's
Oh,
good.
yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, and of course, even though I love him to death, it's a year where Chris Fretz doesn't get anything.
He does have a chance for those 20.
Oh, you know he will. You know he will. He's a lucky little man.
Yes, yeah. I've seen his dice.
Mhm.
Rats. Anyway.
Curse you!
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow, 4 6s. Who knew?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, that's great. And it's a good swamp. You got Washington, you got California,
Yeah,
you
it's
got
all over the
South
place.
Carolina, Illinois.
You've got new stores, old stores, that's
What was the
it's a good spread this year, which is pleasing.
What was the
Atlantis something?
Atlantis something? I missed the second part of the name.
Atlantis Comic and Games in
That's it.
Virginia.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
you know what?
that's
It's really nice to see Game Plus holding something. Because I used to do tournaments there, then it kind of like, I don't know what happened there, but I'm
You
glad.
moved out of Chicago.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, there's that
It
too.
is.
But
It's
not far away.
Businesses are secular. Is you get them, you have a group, they move on, they don't, they do their, but you do see it going round and round. I mean, I've been in the hobby industry for so long now. We used to play with, little slates with little chalk men, and you just used to go pow, pow, pow when I started.
Yeah.
But you see that. What it's really nice is that they're still there. Because, of course, out there, it's not milk and honey all the time. COVID was bad, and, buying habits change. Everything is about running a store is hard work. You don't see them all driving around in Lamborghinis. It's tough work out there. So it's really pleasing to see that stores are able to carry on after such a long time.
Well, there's two things about game store owners. All right. It is a labor of love. And sometimes users shouldn't be dealers.
There is that as well. Well, there's the old joke in it, which is, how do you make $1 million game store?
How do you?
Start with 2 million.
Okay.
It's a tough world out there. It really is. And my background is workshop as well. And I ran 32 stores, I think, at the highest. And even then, the profit margins, even with everything that workshop charged and all of that, the expenses of those shops just running on workshop is barely 30% of them made a real profit. Some would squeak by with a few thousand, but I had very few that really brought in what would be considered a gravy train. It was tough back then, and I don't know what they're like now. They've cut hours and they've done things like that. I imagine all sensible. I haven't been with them for 16 years now, so I'm out of the loop there. But I know even for them, it was a tough job running stores. So my hat's off to anybody who runs a successful game store. They definitely need our help, so think about that the next time you're thinking, I'll do a 3D print of a tank because it'll save me $2, and just go, where are you going to play when those stores are gone?
That is true. So
support your local game store.
Yeah,
very much so. I will bang on about it for as long as anybody will ever give me chances. They need help, and it is important, if you want to see your hobby still there, whether it's us or any hobby, is those are really the frontline people. Then they do need your support. And there endeth my rant.
Okay. Endeth your rant.
Yeah.
It was a good rant.
Hey, are you planning to be at Adepticon?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yep,
Yeah,
I'll be there.
That's I think that. Oh, well, there's Vegas and Adepticon, but
Yeah, I'm not at Vegas. That's the LVO, isn't it? The Las Vegas Open.
LVO.
I think actually to be in there, you need to be booking very quickly. I think I saw a post only today saying they've only got a few places left. So if you're getting in there, get in. We've posted up now that the dates for Historicon, Adepticon, and I think Cold Wars and Little Wars. And we've been seeing a very nice stream of people saying, sign me up for Adepticon and Historicon, which is always pleasing. So yeah, I think Adepticon's 23rd-ish of March, somewhere around that time. So yep, I'll be driving one of the trucks out to do my regular.
Yeah, and it's a 2-day big Team Yankee tournament.
Yes.
So I think Thursday with the Flames of War, but the main draw is going to be the big Team Yankee tournament, which, by the way, is a qualifier for Team Yankee Masters.
It is indeed. Yeah, well pumped.
Well, it's just I tie it all together. I make it look easy.
I haven't done this. How did the new light green shirts go down? Literally, I walked into the guy who does the shirts for them and saw them, and my face just went.
You want to see if you can grab one of the light green shirts?
I was horrified.
So I'm currently not living near the game store, so I travel on in. Shane, who's the owner of the store, he's like, yeah, I got your shirts came in. I'm like, okay, great. He hands me the box. I start opening it, and I see this light green. Oh, you know what, Ann? I think it's in the car. Shoot.
So did you open the box where the light green were first?
Yes.
So you opened it from the bottom.
Right. Well, no, it was no, they were on top.
Oh, did they put them on top? Right. Because of course they were in two different boxes. Well, and it's funny because the first thing that popped into my mind when I saw them was, oh, Robert's gonna love these. Even though he wasn't playing, he seems to hate our green shirts. But it is this sort of pastel green. Now, just so you know, guys.
It's like a Kelly green. It's like a really bright Kelly green.
We went back and did our normal Battlefront dark green, which is what these shirts should be. And we sent both of them along because, well, we're not going to use those shirts. But I did think about it at the time as these ones have got two little colors in there. But you're welcome.
Well, the thing is, it was a big surprise to me, and I'm like, ooh, well, and then before I handed it off to the TO, who was Andrew Hobson this year, TO'd. Before I handed it off to him, I said, hey, I want, I did a little thing, thank the store, thank the players for coming, and I said, one of the things is that. Through life, I said we had to embrace change. And I started seeing all the worry faces.
Yeah.
And hey, sometimes you got to embrace it. You got to roll with it. Sometimes it's good. And I'm like, I hold it up. And everyone's like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a disgusting green, but it's definitely not the green that everybody would be expecting. But
now, you didn't realize that there were the dark green ones underneath.
Well, it was
because he said, once you hand out the shirts, I started digging. I was like, hey, there's dark green ones.
So here. Ann came over and I said, hey, could you hand out the shirts to everybody while we're playing? And she's going through the light ones and she goes, hey, the regular shirts are down here. I'm like, you're kidding me. And I go, oh, I guess that explains why the box was as big as it was.
Yeah.
And so then she went around and handed off so everyone got two shirts. So the reason my shirt's in the car is because I went to a tournament. I went to our Toys for Tots for tournament. I normally don't wear my shirt, but I wore the
bright green one.
Bright green one
because it's Christmassy.
Yeah, I'm like,
Why
Yeah,
not?
you feel like a jolly elf.
It just shows you again, though. So the strict instructions I gave to Shane's salesman was tell him that there are 2 shirts in. They're supposed to tell about this exact story. So you would have known all of it before the box was open. So I can guarantee that my monkey didn't tell the story. If he did, Shane wasn't listening. Shane didn't tell anybody. And you get down it and go, really, guys? It was a simple one of there are 2 shirts in there. Don't worry about the light green one. It was a mistake, but we've corrected it.
Shane wasn't there Saturday because he went to a wedding. And then,
That's why
Well, I forgive him completely then.
yes. And he just sent me a text. All the shirts are here. And I'm like, okay. And, but yeah, he was at a wedding. So we saw, he was there Sunday for everything. But,
well, I forgive him completely then.
Yeah. So no, he's great. He loves hosting us. Because I do the Team Yankee Masters, and everyone who's guest TO'd the regular Masters, you're kind of like the mag tag repairman from the old commercials, where you're just like the phone doesn't ring. What am I doing? And he's just walking around, because you might get 1 or 2, hey TO, but other than that, it's a really easy, because I mean, at that level, they pretty much know the rules and stuff like that. So
well, exactly. I mean, I'm sure I've bored people with this story before. This came about because when I was down in New Zealand, I played Warhammer. That's the game that I've always played. And through, I don't know, some luck, some terrible luck for a gentleman by the name of Harry, I became the #1 player down in New Zealand of Warhammer. Now, that in itself tells you that, I am not the #1 player. There are many players down there that could beat me. But there was this thing called the Masters in Australia, and I went to do it. And luckily, I knew some of those guys as well, so they were friends. And as you say, it was at a level that I've never been to a tournament like it before, because you did all know your stuff. You knew that everybody you were playing there was a very competent player, even myself. So the rules questions almost don't get asked because everybody knows. And you also know that if you are trying to be a little bit gamey, you're going to get called on it very, very quickly, but in a manner that is not confrontational. They're just going to, you what, John? Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. And that, if anybody can get to them, a good Masters is a brilliant event to go to, because it's an experience in itself. And I absolutely adore them, and I'm glad that you run them for us on that way, because again, I believe this shouldn't be a Battlefront run thing. It should be a bit of separation there. We'll always support, but this way it's less bias from the company, if you know what I mean, is where I've always driven that. I do like this one to be community led rather than company led. So
yeah,
very appreciative there.
Yeah, and we do. I think we got a good partnership, and I think we got a good methodology in it. Scores are entered. There they are. That's you win the tournament. You win the nationals, which is that you guys host. You get it.
Yep.
If you win last year, you get invited. So there's 5 people, 6 people right there, and and the best Canadian, and then fill in the rest of the Americans, and there you go.
Yeah. And the other thing, I know this sounds a bit counterintuitive to what we're doing here, and the thing I like about it is it's that plaque, the one that's behind you right now.
Oh, this one?
Yes, this one. It's not about, you're getting free armies or anything like that. You get that plaque.
Mhm.
but there are not many of those in the world.
11.
Yeah, and you look at it and you go,
Yeah.
well, that's it, So it is for really you are playing the best there are at this year. And again, there are always people who go, yeah, of course you'll lose to anybody on the day, but these are some of the most consistent players that enter into the tournament scene. And I am not one of those that believes that the tournament is everything. I am actually completely the opposite. I think casual players pay our bills. But
Yeah.
I also don't believe that you should only focus on one group. I am a great believer that it is the whole hobby, not your bit of the hobby. Whether you're just a painter, a casual player, a competitive player, like mass battles, it's all good. Just play away. I like rolling the dice.
Yep.
And again, I'm most probably preaching and going, it's my bloody hobby. You play at everything.
No, it's it's a game. It happens just to work out for tournaments. So
yeah,
we roughly have, I don't know, a little over 400 people that participate in tournaments every year. So
absolutely.
So that's it's a pretty decent amount. But we know. Well, that's just like Able Company. We have 3, 4, or 5 people who play tournaments. Yeah, but we have another 28 people that play.
Exactly.
And
the thing is, it should be, well, it's all encompassing. It doesn't matter. Your hobby is just as valid as anything else. And then the same way it should be, but you should also celebrate tournament play as well. Even though you may not go into it, you just go, that's your choice. Mm-hmm. But it's still a very valid part of the hobby community is whatever goes on. I'm actually at a friend's house tonight, Jeff, and he has a very good story that I tell of a guy who buys a figure, paints it to the 18th level, and then hits it with a big hammer. And, you would paint there, you see your little figure, and what you should do is you should just say to him, so why do you use that size hammer? You just engage him in his hobby because that's his hobby. Mm-hmm. I don't know why you would ever do that, but I think for me, it was such a ridiculous story, but it shows you that anything is actually allowed because, well, we are in the land of the free. You are allowed to play the games that you want, I'm going to be very upset if somebody comes into my house and starts telling me I've got to play in a certain manner. I'm not very good with that.
Well, John, thanks for supporting.
Always a pleasure. Yeah.
And we'll just keep this up. Of course, we'll we got Masters coming up. The door from the
front door's open. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know what the cat's doing. Cat's like, I'm out of here.
The English bloke is talking too long. I'm off.
Yeah. And so, but thanks. Thanks for supporting. Really appreciate it. I'll see if I could actually make it up to Adepticon this year, at least maybe for the weekend or something like that.
It'd be good to see you. Yeah, you and I haven't pressed the flesh in a long time, which would be good. Yeah. And on my last note, I'd just like to once again say thank you to everybody who participated. It's very much appreciated.
Yeah, and then we'll see if we, I think the 400 some on, those are rookie numbers. We'll see if we can get those higher.
Absolutely. Yeah, just beginning numbers. That's good stuff. Okay, thank you very much, and I will see you again soon.
All right. Thanks, John.
Cheers. Bye.
So, actually, waiting in the wings, so we could just continue it. Lana, I just brought you in.
Bugs, stop.
Yeah.
Are you there?
Hi. Yeah. Actually, a well-oiled show, but
the cat wanted to paint too because my painting stuff is over here, and he likes to find the miscellaneous models that are just like not doing anything to him.
So anyway, so we're going to talk. Well, I got Lana on here, and I haven't done a show in a while, so we're just going to continue. Yeah, please stick around. So we're just going to talk shop and talk about all things battle. Flames of War and Team Yankee. Because for those who don't know, Lana has her own show on this very channel. And by the way, if you like what you see, hit the like button, hit subscribe.
You'll see everything that Lana does, everything Joe does.
Yep. And Lana's been doing a lot of interviews, been going over list building and those kind of things. Once we move into our new house, we have an area that's just for
We need to invite them over so you guys could do one all in studio.
the all studio. Yes, we actually, when we were looking at a house, we're like, yeah, this room's the studio. So anyway, so we got that going on. Lana, how you doing? What do you got cooking as far as your next video?
So masters topics.
Have you interviewed Joe yet?
Why would you want to interview me?
You won. You won, Joe. I thought this was going to be me interviewing you tonight.
Well, if you know what, take it away.
I mean, you know all the questions already, right?
I started from humble beginnings.
Took him 10 years to get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so no, what are the questions?
You don't know what the questions are? Oh my gosh. You haven't watched any of our other videos?
I did. I saw the one with John when you interviewed John.
Okay.
Lists and stuff. John and I didn't have, our lists weren't too far. No, I didn't have any what's the beefed up thing, the M word, with the anti-tank 10 Matadors. Yes. I need to find some Matadors. I should have asked John. I said, hey, John, I should have said, John, set aside 6 Matadors for me. By the way, because that's the most you can have in a list. And the only way to get the Matador is if you have a certain armored car list that allows Matadors. Well, actually, I take that back. Any armored car list can have a Matador, but only one of them you could get as part of the support. No, part of the formation, and the other one is support. That's why you can get 6 Matadors. And why do you want a Matador? Which, by the way, is a AMC car. AMC back in the 60s and 70s made
no,
a
it's not that. No,
not that Matador. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I thought it was some dude that waves around a. Yeah, okay. I thought it was this dude.
Yeah. No, the Matador for 6 points, you get 3 of them, and this is what they can do. They have their armor is 3-2-1, so it's decent for an armored car. I believe it has spearhead. It doesn't have any scout capability. It can bombard, and it's better than the regular bombardment for the same amount of points for 4. You can get 4 normal bombardment mortars, 4 mortars, or you can get 3 Matadors, which has the armor, which has the wheels, which has a machine gun, and it has a anti-tank 10, 3 firepower, just like any 75 out there, all for 6 points. It's 2 points apiece.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, it doesn't have overloaded or overworked or anything.
Oh, they're great. They're great.
Oh, and it can fire smoke. So not only can it fire a smoke bombardment once, but each gun can fire smoke. So what is not to like about the Matador?
The fact that you can take only so few.
Well, you can get 3 normally with your armor car list. It's cheap to get an armor car list, so you can always have 3. But if you take the Pacific one, I don't know, it's
You can finagle it up to 6 if you take
like Dirt Devils or something. Actually, if you take more than one Dirt Devils, or I don't know what the hell their names are.
it's the something about the Queen's Inn or something like that.
The Queen's Inn. Oh, I thought it was the other one. Well, anyway, yeah. Actually, if you take one of those, you can actually have more. Another set. Yeah, but that's too many armor cars. Yeah, who wants to spam anyway?
I don't know whoever would want a spam.
Well, the list I took to Masters, is that probably first question?
So usually I go over like kind of the background of the player, and then like your pre-Masters preparation, the workup, and then we talk a lot about like the list and the challenges of it.
Well, there's not much to my background. I was born on Monday night. No, I just
I was born black.
It's kind of like your gaming background. So, like, what first got you interested into Team Yankee and Flames of War?
Okay, so which is interesting is Games Plus, which we talked about, was part of that earlier.
Yeah.
So I was
for an Emperor's headquarters.
Well, okay. So when I first moved out of Northwest Indiana into Chicago, I ended up at a game store called Emperor's Headquarters. Now they did not play anything there, but that's where I would meet people who eventually would play this. So I formed some friendships there. I mostly played Starfleet Battles, and I actually played competitively in Starfleet Battles in their captain's tournament. If you know anything about it, you can get an ace. I got an ace a couple times, which is in a tournament, which you win or go home, kind of like the NCAA basketball tournament. So you play your match. If you win, you move on. If not, once again, it's one of these. There was no time limit. It's just you had to finish your game. And so Starfleet Battles, the rules are like this thick, and it's if you know anything like Advanced Squad Leader or anything like that, it's just rule intensive. And the people who play are like were the best of the best. And so I formed some friendships, particularly the Paul and Alex Pundy. They used to play Flames of War tournaments, but they haven't for a while. But Paul and Alex, friends of mine, and they anyway. So at some point, I met a gal, and she moved to New York, and I thought I'm going to move to New York too, and to pursue her. It's my lovely and talented producer, Anne. So I took a chance there, and we've been married for over 25 years. So I guess that worked out. Did that work out?
I guess so.
Okay. And so far, yeah.
You only guess so. The end of the story hasn't been written yet. We don't know.
Yes, that's right. And it's it never is happily ever after. It's just the next.
It just keeps going on. It's just the next chapter. There's no such thing as happily ever after. There's just like part two.
Part two, and then some.
The adventure continues.
So, in New York, there was no one who played. So I had this big void, like for 15 years, where I really didn't play anything. And when we moved back to the Midwest, I said, "Oh, okay, let's what can I get into?" So I went to Gen Con, ran into Paul and Alex, and they were playing in a Flames of War tournament at Gen Con, back in, I think it was version 2,
like 2008.
Yeah, around 2008.
Yeah.
Yep. And they're like, oh, we're playing this. Now, the thing is, John, who was on earlier, was talking about GW. Well, when I was out in Chicago, I tried to get in GW. So I had this whole Space Orc army, and then they changed the rules, and like half of my army was useless. And I'm like, screw that. I just made this investment. You want me to, buy stuff all over again? Screw that.
Thus is the perils of Games Workshop.
Right. So I said, they're like, oh yeah, this, that, and the other. I'm like, oh, I don't want to get in a miniature game. And I think it was Alex who put it this way. He said, you know what, Joe? There always will be a 15 millimeter World War II rule set out there. Because it was like command decision at one point. Now it's Flames of War. Who knows what it'll be in the future, but a Sherman is always a Sherman. I'm like, oh, yeah, I mean, you can't, make Mega Sherman, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, you can't, that will never exist.
So I'm like, okay.
Correction, not never. Someone might have a great idea of like smithing the rules around this future battle type of scenario, but like that's a different game. That's not our game.
Well, so that's how I got into it, and that's where I ended up meeting the people that would eventually form Able Company, and that's where I started playing, and then like a year after that, I started playing competitively, going to tournaments, and then ended up really my first year of competitive tournaments, I ended up going to Masters. So that was the second Masters. So I missed the first one because I was really playing. I was the first alternate. Someone had to drop out. They called me. I went. And then from there on, I've been in Masters ever since. Been to 11 of them. Got close to winning a couple times. Matter of fact, last year was one of them. I don't know. 2011 was another. I took second at one point. I was at the top table again. It was always something.
Everybody calls him first loser.
Yes. Second place, first loser. And then anyway.
Is that just the sorry feelings of playing in so many Masters?
I don't think he ever really got upset when he didn't win.
No, he
didn't. He was just happy to be there, I think.
Yeah, is that here's the thing that I've played so many tournaments, and to get first place, a lot of things need to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You need to execute, and then the other people you're playing need, that they just need to do a little bit less than you, because there's some things that are out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I played a lot of nationals because that's a really big one. I've been at ones, that 100 plus people. The average is like 40, 50. You get all these people playing, and a lot of things need to happen. And so when you're going into the sixth round, there's like, it's pretty tight at the top, and some things need to happen for you to, for that to get there. So so the stars need to line up. You need to execute, and then the other things need to line up with it. Because I've won 3 nationals, and a bunch of seconds and thirds, a lot of thirds actually, with nationals, and and I just know it takes a lot to do it. So when it comes to a Masters, once again, a lot of things need to happen, and
He
like,
just want to embarrass himself. I think that's the only
well,
thing.
I want to do well. So if I played well and did everything I needed to do, and didn't make the big mistake, that cost me the tournament or cost me the game, I'm like, okay, I played well, and I walk away and I'm all good. I mean, what's what really happens at the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
we go out and have a good dinner or something like that.
Someone gets a custom plaque and you go out to dinner.
Yeah. Well, this year, it was interesting was that speaking of the custom plaque, on my way for that, I actually played it. Going there, I actually had to go through 3 past winners. So I played Gilmore, I played Cedarburg, and I played Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow, that's, and then everyone else was tough too. But I mean, just, those 3 right there, I was exhausted at the end.
It's a long day. That's a long day.
Well, the thing is, you're playing those guys, you're like, oh, and they're giving their all, and you're like, okay, what are they trying to do? What are they giving me? What can I do? And then you're just playing your game, and it's mentally exhausting there at the end. Matter of fact, I felt it after the very last game. I was like, whew.
Speaking of mentally exhausting, since we kind of skipped through a lot of you talked a lot about where you came from in this. What'd you do to prepare? Like Andrew Hobson kind of came up with the Iron Man setup and kind of set up those rules. When you saw the rules for both distribution and your own use and strategizing, how did those influence your preparation and the list building?
It didn't.
Yeah, believe it or not, he didn't take a lot of time. It's just funny. I was like,
yeah.
There have been times when he's really.
I wish I could tell you I put hours of sweat equity in it, but it's probably the least amount of time I put into anything. Into a tournament due to the simple fact of this. I got a new job and we moved. We're getting a new house. So got that going on. It's like, I'm trying to coordinate. So we move in and our move-in date's the 23rd of December, which is right before Christmas. And it's like, can I get the appliances there? Can I get the moving company there? I got to turn on, can I get internet? I got priorities.
Life's happening. Yeah.
Electricity.
yeah. It's like, I got to make sure, all this is happening. I had to sell the house. I sell the old house. And we're doing this. Anne's staying with a friend back in Indy. I'm up here in Lafayette. So there's a lot of things going on. Most of my stuff's actually in storage. So I have pretty much in my bag is what I played with, which is my British Armor car list. I go, well, this will work. I'm like,
what's really funny is I've seen we've had Chris Jackson stay at our house, and I remember his preparations for what Masters was it? I can't remember, but he had it
was the one before,
and he's got
binders.
He's got binders, and he's analyzing everybody else's armies, and I'm like, and so when Joe's like, yeah, I'll just take this, I'm like. He's like the total opposite of Chris Jackson. He's like, okay, well, this is what I got. This is what I'm taking.
Yeah.
Well, I just know every player has their own strategy that they favor. Every player has their own groove for how they choose to build lists. Sometimes you kind of pour over lists and revise, and then pour over it again and revise, and you go through these drafts. And then other people just play it fast and loose, and what they like. Just, I like this list. I don't really care.
Well, that's kind of what it was. Is he likes the list, he has the stuff, and it was kind of born out of necessity because he didn't have everything else with him. Yeah. I think he would have thought more about it if he had all of his armies.
I got a lot going on.
So, what did you think of the rules?
I don't want to dismiss it.
List aside, what did you think of the rules?
I walked on in. I said, I own this room. No, it wasn't that. It's just, it was a list that I was comfortable with and I played a lot with. matter of fact, it was the list that brought me to the dance.
Mhm.
So I'm like, well, you know what? I'm just, it brought me to the dance. Why not keep it and play it? And personally, I thought there was going to be more armored car lists. And it turned out that there was a couple. I think there was four.
Well, realistically, I think armored car lists would have fared overall well with the situation because they're cheap units. A lot of them are they're cheaper units compared to a tank list or like a heavy list.
But
it's a very middle ground price.
Yeah, Dingos and Daimlers are not tanks. They lose that battle.
Yes, they do.
I have taken a couple side shots with that 7 gun, which is overworked. So you're like, oh, I am 2 shots at a Sherman on the side. Whoa, and you're like, oh, I hit. And of course, it's a 7 versus a 5. Hey, could you do me a favor and roll 1? And then I go, oh, now I have to roll a 4 or higher. So I mean, it's what, and I've said this a lot, or actually I said it a couple times. A lot more people have said it more than I have actually said it, which is recon wins games.
Recon does wins games, yes.
And it's a recon list that helps you win games. So,
I mean, they got you this far.
It did. I also like to think it's my cunning intelligence and
my sharp wit.
Yes, my razor sharp rapier whip.
Rapier sharp wit.
Yes.
So you've been going to a lot of masters. Did any of those previous experiences play into any? Your list was already established. Like you can't change the list. But how did the rules change strategy?
The rules change strategy. I think I played pretty much the way I normally play because I'll sacrifice a few pawns for the win, and my pawns are these recon guys. Sorry, boys. And I'll sacrifice 1 or here or 2 to get the win, right? And I had a whole bunch. I think I only had 1 8-1. The rest of them were 7-2s and 6-3s. So, I kind of thought the thing is just way the new version 4 format is just win and get the 6 at least. And it's pretty easy to do that with this armored car list. But I had 1 6-3, bunch of 7-2s, and an 1 8-1. And it's like, okay, so I lose 2 sets of armored cars. You get 20. I think you got 20 points back every round.
Yep.
And I was losing 4 points. So that worked out for me. It's pretty much my standard game. So I wasn't too much worried about the Iron Man. The only thing I had to worry about was if the wheels just fall off,
Mm-hmm.
The Achilles get obliterated, which, by the way, I've had happen in tournaments before where, all of a sudden, like, oh, here my airplane comes in. Oh, look, I get all the shots. Oh, look, you failed everything. And oh, look, I'm making all my fire powers. Oh, your Achilles are dead. Oh, yes, you're flipping them over. Oh, joy. Oh, yeah, good
well,
shooting.
There goes those plans of domination and creating chaos.
Yeah, well, it's part of the game. That's where you have to roll dice. So, and I like to say that I had some secret sauce or thought about it too much, but no, I played a list that I was comfortable with that tucked me to the dance because that's what I had in my bag, and it worked out. So,
how did you expect the list to play out then? Knowing who you were going up against, I know you've either played a lot of these people, or you've talked to a lot of these people, or you knew them. You had some sort of relationship. How did you expect your list to play out?
Well, one thing I do know about the players coming there, a couple of them are unpredictable about what they're going to bring. So, you know, maybe like coaches, for example. I thought he was going to bring an armored car list, but he ended up bringing train reluctant Panthers,
Mm-hmm.
which, by the way, didn't do too well for him. Jackson, he does infantry a lot. He ended up bringing a U.S. Tank Company list. You know, a couple other people, you just never, there's some wild cards, and you never played them before. What are they going to bring? Yeah, I don't know. It's just. Remember also that board and mission also play a lot into it. Also,
Yeah, they really do.
So it's like I did get lucky with some of the missions because you're only going to use a mission twice. Towards the end, I got lucky with people played their power missions for before they got to me, and I got them in really bad positions, and then executed.
Someone with the attack list end up in the defense, and then they kind of have to.
Yeah, and I took advantage of it, and just executed. And I would say the other thing that really worked out for me in that tournament was my dice were average. So I was really grateful. It wasn't like I've been to a tournament. It's like I couldn't roll lower than a 5 for some strange reason. And I've been some tournaments. I couldn't buy a 3 or higher to save my soul. It just feels like that. You're like, oh wow, hey, 3 hits on an infantry. I've had this before. Dug in 5 hits on an infantry teams
Mm-hmm.
with machine guns. Failed 4, and then my opponent rolled 4 6s. And it's like, I've seen that before. Or it's happened, but it's dice, whatever.
Yeah, for sure. So you talked about going up against 3 previous winners. Mm-hmm. So this question might kind of be a whole lot of nothing sauce. What was your most challenging matchup?
I would say each one of them. And by the way, I'm not being politically correct, but every opponent, it's Masters. Every opponent I played well, executed well, and played their game. I played my game, and just somehow I just ended on top. There was I didn't have any cakewalks. There was no cakewalks. It just some people got in some bad situations. Like my, if Jackson's on here, my game with Jackson, that was his game to win. Matter of fact, I think that's the only game where I got the right combination. I was attack, he was mobile, but we ended up in the scenario that was perfect for him. And I went for an injective, and all his tank reserves came on that objective. It was bad, and I just happened to. The thing is, he's shooting at all my armored vehicles. So basically, but by the way, I had easy 8s, 4 easy 8s, and a jumbo 76, as support. Okay. And he was shooting at them. He was shooting at my Achilles, and he was leaving my infantry alone, which was the parachute commandos, right?
Mhm.
And my commandos were going to the objective. I sat there for a turn in the forest where the objective was. He had some tanks supporting the objective because he just pulled right there, and he had his priest sitting there also. So I'm like 3 inches away from the priest. I'm within 4 inches of the objective. He's chewing me up, and I had just enough that survived when I fired back. And in a typical fashion, I ended up bailing a bunch of stuff, the armored cars around. I'm sorry, bailing the Shermans around the objective, except one, and it was a little too far. I actually bailed the jumbo, had a chance to kill it, but bailed it. And I did the sneak in the forest to the. Matter of fact, I'm sorry. I did pop my Panzerfaust. No, I didn't have Panzerfaust. What's the British anti-tank? A Piat.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Pop.
Yeah.
The Piat popped the closest priest to the objective. Everyone else rushed the other two priests so they couldn't get defensive fire. I made hits. He made his saves, and he's rolling 2 dice because his one IC's right there, and he rolls a 1 and a 2. And
that's all it takes.
It's all it takes, and he had to back off on it, and he gets done. He's like, I think, this family-friendly show. He's like, son of a bitch. He's like, well, okay. Yeah, this is the way it goes. I rolled a 1 and a 2, and you did what you had to do. So I snuck that one out. And then I had another game when I was playing another U.S. opponent. I mean, he just made all the saves. That was one. It was a tie. The Cedarburg game was that was another tie. But I ended up getting 3 points out of it. It's even John, playing your husband. There was nothing. There was no foregone conclusion there, but went up, did what I needed to do, and for the assault, his fearless paratroopers, he ended up rolling a 1. They had to back off, and I captured the objective. I mean, so it was just some luck, and of course being there to get the dice to roll was all part of it. So it's just it just ended up, and I think one of the things about this year was it was so competitive right to the end.
Yes. I think this year really showed how Masters is. I said it during the tournament, kind of, but Masters this year really showed how every single person in that went to Masters is a great player. It's just who is first of the day, who is the best at the end of the day. They're not the best overall particularly, but one person goes home with a plaque and everyone else doesn't.
No, there it is.
And that's just how it fell. And that's why I said the question might be a lot of, well, all of my opponents were challenging because
because they
it
were.
was yeah, it was. I don't want to necessarily force you to be like, yes, this person, because when you play 3-4 of the most challenging players, arguably 6 of the most challenging players across the country.
Mm-hmm.
Is there really going to be an easy match, or is one just going to present more difficult challenges than the other?
Mm. Well, once it comes down to mission and board, right? You
Mm-hmm.
know, and some stuff. There was a little bit of my favor on some of the missions. That there was one that did not, and then that was the one I was going, probably most likely to lose. But I pulled one out of where, and and I'm like, okay, I'll take it, and so it's that was a the thing was that when it goes to show, kids out there, don't give up. Yeah, you just go ahead and just try to find, there you can find that win in there somewhere.
Did you expect to walk out with the win going day one into the tournament?
With any wins? Well, I know one thing. I wanted to get. I was hoping to get 3 wins. Period. Anything over that was gravy. So I got the 3 wins. I'm like, okay, good. I'm not embarrassing myself, and I'm playing good games, and I got good opponents and stuff, and that's that happened. It just happens. It's a weird one. Typically, it takes 5 wins to win it, but I had 4 solid wins, and my ties were 3s.
Well, I think since the tournament was so close overall, it kind of gave a little bit of leeway with if you tied, it balances you more towards winning than it kind of created more of a balanced dynamic, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So I was sitting there watching it unfold. Yeah, it was interesting. So
it was definitely a nail biter. We know, I don't think anybody knew what the end was going to be because it was between like 8-10 people even at the last tournament or last round.
Yeah, the last round. Well, I did go up. I was up 1 point, and I guess the only good thing went for me was that Jackson and Cedarburg were playing each other, and they were both 1 point behind me. So I'm like, yeah, bloody.
As long as I do well here,
yeah, it's
and they tie, I'm okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, right behind them was people that were 2 points down. So it's like, I knew I had to get a win.
Everything has to fall right just for you to win.
Yeah, I get a win, put myself in the best position, and see how it landed. And it just, at the end of the day, it worked out. So that worked out. Hey, so I played all these little armored cars, and Achilles, and the biggest, the biggest front armor I had was it was the jumbo, right, for 11, but it's really the easy 8s at 7. You ready for this one? So for the Toys for Tots that I ran, I had to be a ringer. Guess what I played?
The same list?
Nope. I played an IS2 list. Basically, I was like, I called around and I said, "Hey, can you get I want to this would be my ringer list. There's a couple IS2s, a set of IS-85s, some infantry, some recon, and let's go for it." And
I think the ringer lists are always the most fun to build because it's like if you're only going to play if somebody else doesn't show up or somebody leaves mid-tournament. You're not there for the win. You're there for the fun. So it's like, nah, I'm going to come up with the most ridiculous list. Or find a ridiculous list or whatever and just have fun with it. Within the rules, of course.
What happened with the Toys for Tots I wasn't trying to win, and that list bled points on the smaller stuff. And so, but what ended up happening was I had 3 weak wins, but at the end of the tournament, I actually had 3 wins. The other people that were in contention tied, did a 3-3. And it was like, I was very disappointed in them. I thought they were gonna, that was the table to win the tournament. So anyway, I ended up winning the tournament. So with my IS2s, yeah. Oh, by the way, what was funny out of the 16 people that played, there were 4 armored car lists.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, where are these armored car lists coming from? I'm like looking at like these people never played armored car lists before in their lives. What is this? Yeah.
I know John brought an armored car list, and he was bringing it because he liked having expendable units, or he liked how the expendability of the list. He wasn't worried about losing units. He talked about it in his interview I had with him, but he wanted a list that he was willing he could lose units to, and it'd be an easy buyback instead of, oh, I took a tank list and I lost a Panther, two Panther units. Okay, cool. I can buy back like 1.5 units.
Well, that's like my list, my game against Gilmore, which was the first one. He had a bunch of PAC 43s, which is the big anti-tank guns, but they came in on reserves. And so when they come on, they don't have gun shields. I just ran my carriers and just machine gunned them off the table and lost the carriers in this. I'm like, yeah, I'll take. It's like, to me that was a win-win. I'm like, I got rid of those big guns because that was his big hammer. I got rid of them, but he lost 10 points. I lost 4.
Right,
And,
exactly.
Yeah,
that's why John wanted to take the armored car list, and he takes a variety of lists anyways. So, he kind of builds to his particular strategy more than anything else.
Well, okay. Have you guys talked about Wolf Creek yet?
We haven't.
Okay. You're going to need to talk to, because I think that might fall under something that John would really like. Here's the thing about Wolf Creek. It's they're playing the city fighting rules. So the tables are 3x2s or really tight. It's 80 points, but it's just all city. And you're going to use the multi-room rules for city fighting. And it's basically, it's like, well, you need to leave the tanks at home because they ain't going to do well in the city with the rubble. And it's basically, think the big Russian battle, the Russian-German battle.
Stalingrad?
I think Stalingrad, yeah, because that's what they're doing. They're doing Stalingrad, 80 points, which, by the way, works out real well. The city fighting rules, by the way, for the defender, they have a rule called outpost reserves. So instead of starting with 60 on the table, it's reversed. You start with 40 on the table for 80 points. So an 80-point army, you instead of starting with your
Is that her dog?
Yeah.
That's enough to make any player nervous.
Yeah, right. Because what it is that instead of starting with 48 points in the table, you're starting with 32 or something like that.
Yeah,
32. So 32 points on the table. Well, and it's not a vehicle-friendly area, so it's like, oh, it's going to be infantry on infantry. Really, there's some support units out there you can think about. But it's like you're going to bring a different army. then
Yeah, my guess for that, it'd be very infantry heavy. You might have like an artillery unit that you can kind of put off to the corner and not move.
You ready for this? There's a rule called Across the Volga, where your artillery could start off the table and then bombard anywhere on the table.
Right, that sort of thing. Like you might have like one artillery unit to like throw pot shots across, but like you're not going to have a ton of armored cars. You're not going to have a whole lot of anything except for maybe infantry that's has a PIA or something that can take out an armored car if you run into one. If that's brought, anyways.
Yeah. By the way, the artillery rules are different for a city fight. It's because if the template point is outside the building, nothing inside the building is affected by the template. And vice versa, if the aim point is in the building, it only hits that room and no other room, and it doesn't fall out of the building. So templates are going to be really easy because it's either in the building or out of the building. And if it's in the building, it only hits one room.
So pick your favorite floor and hope you can get off one or kill one or two infantry stands.
Yeah.
Or hope it's a really big room.
You probably haven't thought about this, and there's not too many people on, so I'm going to tell you this. You know, I think the answer to all this, everyone's problems is going to be purifying flamethrowers.
I was thinking that flamethrowers would be great in this situation, honestly. Like, you know, one or two PIATs, maybe, but really think about bringing those flamethrowers.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can just flame everyone out of the building.
Smoke them out.
Yep.
And just like, oh, sorry, you were in there?
Yeah. How's it going? The roof's on fire.
We don't need
Yeah. So yeah. So that's so those who are sticking around, that's probably the and because infantry, because like the Russians, I mean, you know, unpinned 4 shots per stand, you know.
Yeah, and flamethrowers are a little bit different in that, like, yeah, you still have to roll for like hits or like fire, that sort of thing. But realistically, it's a stream of fire instead of like 1 or 2 shots that you can like target. Right? So like you have a broader, more mass effect. Is that how the flamethrowers go more?
No, it's a one shot. You know, basically say Germans infantry has 2. You walk up. You know, let's say that the Russian guy is shooting back, of course. So 3s plus the cover is 4. Roll 2 dice to hit, looking for 4s. If you get 2 hits or 1 hit, that's how many infantry stands you hit. And then re-rolling saves, and it's a automatic firepower. Because all those ruins and those buildings are all bulletproof. So, yeah, it's like, yeah, you need stuff that could kill because, submachine guns ain't gonna cut it. You know.
No, you need lots of dice
and
lots and automatic firepowers
and a lot of people who can assault.
Yeah.
So there's some Russians out there that hit on 2s for the motherland, hit on 2s. Some hit on 3s. There's a lot of the Germans. Most of them hit on 3s. There's some elite guys out there that hit on 2s. So I think go in, pin, and hit them. And assaults are going to do it. Flamethrowers are going to do it. So it's going to be bloody, especially starting that close. Woo, woo.
Yeah, that's almost a demo table. That's like no, that's usually not a setup besides for like, oh yeah, we're gonna do a little demo game. Here's a really tiny table that we don't have to build out or like create this big situation. And
so I bought something. I don't know if you can see it.
Ooh, yes. Yes. I don't know how well those would go for Wolf Creek because they are cars, but I mean, you can just like drive them around town and flamethrower people.
Well, it's as long as the routes are not blocked, but you can see, especially they're not that they're kind of cheap, so
you're just road road dashing across.
Yeah. So, but I think that I think for a tournament, I'm pretty excited about that one. So Wolf Creek, it's going to be very different. Hats off to Chad for coming up with this one. I hope it plays as well as I hope I'm hoping it for. And Wolf Creek usually gets a pretty good turnout, so that's pretty good. So that's what I'm looking for.
Do you know the date of that?
It's in March. I'll have to take a look. I know it's not. It's definitely not the same weekend as Adepticon or anything like that, but I believe it's in March.
I might have to take a battle rankings trip out there.
Yes, and report from Wolf Creek. Let's see here. I think I could.
Don't mind the cattail, please.
Yeah, there we go. I'm looking at Hard Knocks games. Let's see. Let's see events. Wolf Creek, March 11th and 12th. So
put it on your calendars.
Put it on your calendars.
No, I might have to. That sounds really fun, really interesting, and something I definitely want to finagle down to make my way down there. Maybe.
Also, they have 2 females that play down there.
I have heard about that.
Yeah. And if you came down there and played, that would be 3. So anyway. I think any other questions for me? I usually it's the other way around.
What was the most unexpected thing that happened?
That I won.
Yeah, he was not expecting it. He was shocked.
I was probably so surprised. I'm like, oh, all right, cool.
Very humble of you, Joe.
You know what? That's my greatest quality.
So I usually close this out with a inspiring messages to young Flames of War and Team Yankee players.
For the baby seals in the world.
What would you tell someone aspiring to go to Masters for the first time?
Well, if you want to go to Masters,
if you want to go to Masters, what message do you have for them?
I guess it's the same as if you want to get to Carnegie Hall. You got playing tournaments, and
you got to be willing to lose.
And well, it's not only losing, but
learning from losses.
Learning from losses.
But you know what? Let's take this and let's just put this allegory as to life. Sometimes I like to blame the dice, but afterwards I go, well, you know what? I could have done this better, or I could have done that better, or maybe running out my infantry in front of those unpinned machine guns maybe wasn't a smart idea. you know, things like that. It's like, you have to be self-reflective and critical, and also, I have a lot of people ask me, hey, if you were me, what would you have done different? Right? What would you have done? And you talk about it, like, well, this would happen, or I wasn't, maybe thought about this, or sometimes a lot of people just don't push. I also been thinking about this one. For this is another about list building. When I get back, I want to do a list build and get a list build by Joe, and get my thoughts.
We can do a bit. I do plenty of lists. Those list videos are actually like very good reception, Joe. If you want to come on to my show and build a list, I'm sure somebody would appreciate it.
Well, one of them is, I think you need, if you're doing an infantry, you need 3 infantry platoons. And I'll go into why later.
We'll save that for the list building with Joe.
Yes. And it's 3. And so my rule now is if I play an infantry, I always have 3. If I play an armored cars or tanks, it's 2. Now I'll go into why later for cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger. We'll save that for the official video.
But the advice for people who want to go to Masters is probably playing.
It's playing tournaments and travel and go to tournaments and listen to those people that are successful, and see what they're doing and see how they're playing and what they're pushing. Because I'll tell you what, I don't really push anything too exotic. Especially my German list. My German lists are pretty boring, right? But that's the one thing about the boring German list. That's why the Germans did as well as they did. Panzer Grenadiers were the backbone of the German army. There was a reason for that. And unfortunately, the Panzer IV was too. But Panzer IV don't do well. Anyway, looking for Panzer IV anyway. So yeah.
I mean, we can always show an example of what happens to the Panzer IV when they die.
He wants to, in our new house, we're going to have a game room. So he wants to set up all the, and actually play games on camera.
So yeah, I'm going to set some up. I was thinking about actually trying to do something for New Year's Eve, but I don't know. I don't know if the house will be ready by then. We'll see. Anyway, thanks.
So you gave your inspiring messages to those wanting to go to Masters someday. What about those dabbling in? I like to be inclusive on my on my show and try to reach new players as well, and make it not just about tournaments. So what would you say somebody looking at starting to play Flames of War and Team Yankee?
Make sure you have someone else to play with.
Then don't get intimidated by it.
Well, it's not intimidated. I was a terrible painter, and I just got better just by doing it. So some of my first, I did armored rifles in version 2 and into 3, and that was the first stuff I painted. Oh my God, that stuff was awful. But later on, when I started doing Germans and my British stuff, I think it's they look pretty good. I've gotten votes for best army and that kind of stuff. So that those are really good compliments coming from the people that are playing. So I just got better at it. Using an airbrush and that kind of stuff. But if you playing. You just got to play and I go out. Part of the list building thing would go is if you're starting an army, what armies to start with, and I know what the easiest ones to do and the ones that are most forgiving. So, and then there's the ones to avoid. But I'll give you the example of one to avoid. It's the penal colony, the penal Russian formations. By the way, for a lark, I played one at a tournament before.
That's what I'm talking about. You just bring something like that it's not going to go well. But I have cat for everywhere right now.
I won 2 of my 3 games.
Yeah, it's not you don't expect it to win, but you bringing it just for fun.
Oh no, I was like going into the I could have won the tournament, but no, I had like over 80 figures, and
the cat just created chaos. It's fine.
I had like over 80 infantry stands, and towards the end of the game, I might have had 10 left.
You always have to have a Rambo.
It was a lot of guys, especially saving on 4s. Yeah, that was a fun one. Well, any other questions?
Nope. That wraps up our Masters talk.
Yay!
Well, yay! At least we hit that checkbox. Of course. We had like 20 people at any given time watching the drawing. For those who hanged on and watched this, thank you.
Hey, that just means they miss out on who won the sticker.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Who won the sticker? I know who won.
So do I. I told you about who won.
Yeah. Were you gonna name who won the sticker?
We can. Would you like to?
Yeah, go for it.
So it's Patrick Boogaloo.
Yes. Yeah, of course. And he knew what was underneath the sheet.
Yep.
Yep.
Here we go.
So we got to get those printed.
Yeah. So I did.
We can see the stick. The dude a little bit better right here. I just changed the format so that you can see the ghosty.
You can see the ghost. Yep. Looks good.
So this is the embodiment of the Rommel ghost.
Ghost Panzer.
Panzer ghost.
Yeah, Panzer.
It's me.
Yeah. Well, wait. What's that?
What's that?
That ghost follows us everywhere. Well.
So that's going to be one of our stickers, and then this the circular battle rankings that is in all of our videos, kind of right up top. That's also going to be a sticker.
Yeah.
You put on your.
And then I got a few other ideas that I'm working on. Maybe like a little lucky card reminder.
They go on your frets box.
Yeah, put it on your frets box.
Yes. We will make sure there are enamel pins of at least some of the designs as well.
You could get it with like some
patches.
Yeah, patch thing that can go onto the Flames of War bag. The with what's it called?
Well, we know it's all about the merch. So
the patch that it has what's that stuff called? Velcro
yeah.
Patch. All right.
So that's some of the ideas. It's kind of funny the comment that Patrick left me. He's like, "There's that darn Panzer ghost again."
Yes, the pesky ghost.
I'm not the pest.
Yeah. You know what? I'd say with that, remember everybody, this was for Toys for Tots. We got the drawing. You could, watch if you just joined late, you can always watch. Oh, matter of fact, why don't you go ahead and read the names? Who won the armies?
The armies were won by Nathan Ortega at Level Up Games in Georgia. Bo Olson at Meeples in Seattle, Washington. Mark Pileski in Games Plus in Illinois. Ted Haskell at Orderland? Is that right? In South Carolina? South Carolina.
Mhm.
Jessica Berry at Atlantis Comics and Games in Virginia. And our grand prize winner was Riker. I'm going to say Riker Yapelli at Gameology in California.
There you go.
And Riker, I don't know how tall he is, but I hope he's pretty tall.
Yeah.
He's going to get a lot of game stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, why don't you go ahead? Why don't you play us out?
Okay, the Marine Band will come back again. We're going to play a little bit more Sleigh Ride, and we'll just take it out.
All right.
Okay. All right. Go Marines! Huh.
I think that's the wrong response, the wrong noise, Anne.
I don't know what do Marines say if they don't say hua. What do they say?
I'm not allowed to say it.
Okay, all right.
That is not me, Anne. I'm sorry.
Well,
I wear green.
Yeah, if you knew a Marine.
John's not here to say it for me. I'm not allowed to say it.
Okay.
It's not hoorah, is it?
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's that one.
Yeah, it's that
Hoorah.
one. Hoorah. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're gonna play it out. And
Marines.
yeah, and if I don't see you guys, with everything going on, probably do well. Merry Christmas, everybody. Maybe we'll try to do something for New Year's. We'll see. It depends
See
on
how much we got unpacked.
yeah. Hopefully, we'll try to get the studio going.
Just keep an eye out for more videos. There's always more videos.
Yep, and you're cranking out some great stuff. Hopefully, people watch that.
I get a pretty steady stream of watchers, and I very much appreciate it. And if there's any suggestions, let us know. We appreciate being told what you want to see.
Yep,
I think I did see something about Russian list building.
Yep.
I'm not sure what kind of Russian list building, but I think I did see something about that. So that's on the list of ideas.
This is where the jazz section.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
At least today, Anne.
It's the same. Everybody plays the same arrangement unless you're an orchestra. Well, the instrumentation is different, but it is the same piece. It's organized the same way. So.
Yeah. No, it's all
I can hear the
get the
baritones
Christmas
in
spirit.
the
We also like to thank Battlefront and John for coming on to do the drawing. We'll look forward to doing
having his rants.
Yes, and then we'll look forward to doing it again next year with Battlefront. Make sure you check out.
Get more than 43 stores. 43 stores.
Yeah. Also, make sure to check out the all the stores out there. Anyway, take it easy, everybody. Good night. Whoop, that's just mine. Oh, I had to hit this one.